our little log cabin, where we're going to be packing and heading over to the Sawtooth Mountains at the first light of the next morning. We cross the Green River at Warren Bridge with a course set toward Jackson Hole. In a little bit we can see the Grovont Mountains ahead of us as we move on toward Jackson Hole. As we approach Jackson Hole, the next awesome sight are the Teton Mountains, standing tall and silently in the background as a hot air balloon is taking some tourists for a ride here. After Teton Pass, we go through that monotonous long straight valley in Idaho. We pass by an old schoolhouse and an old homestead house, here still standing but just barely. Once the roof's gone, it'll be gone pretty soon too. I wish someone would do something about preserving some of these. These are an excellent reminder of how life used to be way back when. The old homestead house even has the ruins of where the old cellar once was. They canned and stored all their food they ate right there. We move on. I'm wanting to go see the old charcoal kilns, a short distance ahead of us now. We have gone past this little dirt and gravel road numerous times, but it's only 5 miles up here across the high plateau of the Sawtooth Mountains till we'll come to the old charcoal kilns. 2 buck antelope race off in front of us, in front of the Sawtooth Mountains. An old doe and her twin fawns gallop out through the sagebrush and prairie grasses as we move further and further up, closer to the charcoal kilns. We go around a curve. I wasn't expecting them to be this low, and here they are, the giant old charcoal kilns. What a breathtaking sight of these relics of the past. There was at one time 16 of these monstrous charcoal kilns here that were used to make charcoal for the mines up in Anaconda, Montana. You can park in a little parking area there and walk around these old ancient charcoal kilns. We can even look inside. This one, the roof's collapsed, so there are gooseberries and different plants growing inside it. They're double wall brick, and they were stacked to the ceiling with wood to make charcoal.
100 years ago or more, 16 charcoal kilns were built on this site in 1866 by J.W. and W.C. King of Butte, Montana. The kilns produced charcoal for the smelter of Nikolai for about 2 years. When the smelter closed suddenly in 1888, operations at the kilns abruptly stopped. Many of the kilns were left loaded with wood, and 40 acres of cordwood was left stacked in rows nearby. With the kilns closed, the wood eventually was carried away or left to rot in the sun. 12 kilns were torn down and the bricks used for other buildings in the Lehigh Valley and the Snake River Plain. The site is now included in the Targhee National Forest, which maintains the area as a historical site and picnic grounds. Do it for you.
Yeah. Okay, what does this one say?
Just preserve and protect. Let me take a look at inside here. They've got cracks in the wall. You know that? These kilns are the only remaining evidence of important historic events, and efforts have been made to preserve them. Steel pipes support one of the roof that was about to collapse, and gates have been erected to keep out stock. These structures are a fragile and irreplaceable reminder of Idaho's history. They are a way to learn about the life and times of those who worked in mining. Please help preserve them for future generations.
A little trail leads us past the remaining charcoal kilns and the ruins of one which has collapsed. You can go peek inside. This looks to have been their air vents, and the bricks that have collapsed from the ceiling are still laying inside. Charcoal was made by burning wood in the absence of air, so I expect all these holes were plugged once a fire got going inside. The hole up above is called the back door. They loaded it from the front door here till they got them as high as they could reach. Then they went around to the back door and loaded them further, loading these structures completely full of wood to make
charcoal. And how it was made. Charcoal is the carbonized residue to wood that has been heated in the absence of air. It was used in smelting because it required less blast than other fuels, was more convenient to obtain, and reacted well with the ore. Wood cut in 4-foot lengths and loaded in the kiln through the lower door. First dry material, then green was stacked from the walls inward as high as possible. Loading continued from a ramp through an opening in the back of the kiln.
There's the air holes. Some charcoal here on the ground.
Back door, fill it to the top. Once wood was stacked as high as possible from the front door, loading continued through an opening in the back of the kiln. Wooden ramps that once led up to these doors disappeared long ago.
Out behind are even some of the chunks of firewood which have withstood the test of time. They've laid here in the sun for about 150 years, and they're a little worse for wear, but still there. Some wild flowers grow around where the wood was once stacked. Silently, the last of the remaining bits of wood rot in the sunshine here, out in front with a few phlox and wild flowers growing. They even had sawed ends on them. I'll bet there were plenty of people here sawing and hauling wood. I'll bet this valley was full of smoke in the heyday of the charcoal kilns here. They're made of double wall brick here, 2 layers of brick to make them plenty sturdy to withstand the test of time and the intense heat of the charcoal operation. At least our Forest Service is making attempts to stabilize these precious old relics of the past here. It's now time that we're going to strap on our backpacks and climb the mountain up to the hot spring, past numerous bitterroot flowers growing alongside the trail here. This is Montana's state flower, and they grow well in Idaho and Wyoming as well. We climb up a rather steep trail, past numerous wild flowers growing at trail's edge, even a few bees working for pollen there, as it's 1 foot in front of the other as we climb higher and higher up toward our final destination of Goldbug Hot Springs. There's some fluffy white clouds over the top of the horizon, but it's still plenty hot. This is a good one to go early of a morning when the mountain is shaded from the sunshine here. because it can get too hot of an afternoon sometimes. Many wildflowers line the trail on our way to the hot springs, and this year's a little earlier than some years. Even the prickly pear cactus are blooming in full bloom right now. Marge loves the wildflowers, and particularly the prickly pear cactus, as she stops and takes picture after picture on the way up. After a little while, we come to our first bridge we cross here, across a little stream here. Then we walk alongside some trees here. Some old cows are taking a nap. This old cow hops to her feet and takes off. As we walk along the cactus-lined trail here through some sagebrush, a bunch of ants are scurrying across the trail as fast as they can go. Along the trail's edge, the air is scented with a delightful scent similar to orange blossoms. This is the mock orange or the syringa. It's Idaho's state flower. It's also the season for the wild roses to be blooming along the creek bank here as we move closer and closer to the hot springs. Some of the evidence of the old gold miners that once inhabited the area. Looks to be a bumper crop of juniper berries this year. The old Goldbug shack alongside the trail, still standing. This little cabin was strictly the basics, but it did the job. The trail's anything but boring, with a beautiful view of the valley down below us, and we're walking through the just groves of the mock orange growing on their shrub along the trail, and the creek is roaring its loudest right down below us as we're getting into steeper and steeper country here, as the terrain is now turning from a grassy slope into a rocky mountainside. Most anyone can climb this trail, but up here it would sure help if you were crossed a little bit with a mountain goat here as we start climbing up rocks. When we get to this point, we know we don't have that much farther to go. Just one more bridge to cross. We'll take a break here in the shade of some mock oranges before we make our final assault on this mountain. And the reward at the end is well worth all the climb up here, as well as the scenery we pass on our way to Goldbug Hot Springs. The air is becoming quite warm now, and Marge is wiping some sweat off before she climbs that final little hill and then across a bridge, and we're there. And at the rate she's snapping pictures, she's going to be completely out of card space here at the end of the trail if she doesn't slow up a little bit here. The creek roars and crashes alongside the trail, and there it is, the final bridge, and we're there. We set up our tent first thing and get our beds ready, and then it'll be time to go down and check out that hot water in the hot springs. And there it is. The hot water just comes shooting and crashing out of the ground, cascading down to the warm pool below. and it's just the right perfect temperature. A little steam's growing, some wild currants growing alongside the pool, and they're ripe and ready to eat and very, very tasty. Some wild flowers are taking advantage of the steam from the hot springs and growing out of a crack in the rocks. Some monkey flowers are blooming right in the steam alongside the hot springs. We walk down the trail to where there's a cave. We see some stalagmites outside the cave growing in the creek bank here. And the cave is between those two waterfalls. The opening over across right in the middle between the two waterfalls. You just roll up your pants and wade over there, and what a treat to see in this cave. The waters come cascading down all around it, and it's built up travertine deposits all around it. We'll go in the cave here. We see that a hole has been worn in the top of the cave, and water from the creeks shooting into what was once a hot pool in there. There's supposed to be just a little hot water shooting down into it, but right now the water's high, and so the water's too cold to use. Inside the cave you look out through the stalactites hanging from the ceiling and the monkey flowers blooming on the outside of the cave. Too bad we couldn't use the hot water, but oh well, that's okay. There's plenty other hot water to use. We return to our tent, and it'll be time to go down and try out the other hot springs here as soon as we fix us a little something to eat, and we're back down there. Another person comes with two dogs. This one dog howls constantly here. It's just his way of talking. He thinks he's a big, bad, mean wolf. What a view from inside the door on our tent as we look at the valley below. I want to go down and get me a good hot shower under this 15-foot waterfall. The travertine deposits have built it up to where it's like almost like a great huge pipe here, only half of it though. And the water comes crashing down this waterfall to give you a shower that hits you so hard it even stings. I'm getting in this travertine pipe here. If there's a better shower in this world, I'd like to know where it is. It's even lined with flowers here. The only thing, you have a little trouble keeping your swimsuit on. That water crashes down so hard it nearly washes it off. We choose to spend most of our time in this pool. It's sort of the source of it here. The travertine has made another little pipe for the water to go down, and you can climb back in this more gentle shower where it just comes squirting right out of the ground, and it gives you a really good hot water shower here, and the temperature is just perfect on it here. It's sure good for washing your hair here. In the steam of where this hot springs comes out of the ground, there are numerous monkey flowers and some really, really pretty colors of algae growing on the rocks here in the steam where it comes right out of the ground here. Lupin celebrating his discovery of the hot springs with a good howl up here on top of the rocks overlooking the valley below. The sky clouded up. There was some distant thunder in the far background. Lupin's scared to death of thunder, so he took refuge in our tent, sprawled out across our sleeping bags. Marge tried to get him out of there, but he more or less told her, "Hey, this is the way it's going to be. Just get used to it." It's now time for Lupin to leave, but he's not ready to go yet. At least he can howl a little bit in protest here as he crosses the bridge and makes his way down the trail with his pack on and all fixed up and ready to go. There are several ant lions next to our camp.
Oh, he got it!
We watch
Look at
the
him!
little volcanoes
Wow.
as they hunt for ant.
See, he's got a hold of it right now. What can you see with the naked eye there? He's dragging it. Oh. Whoops, went out of focus. Okay. He's still struggling with it, isn't he? Can you see his claw? Yeah, he's just about pulled it down in there now.
They make a little volcano with loose dirt all around, so when an ant gets in, he spins out. The ant lion grabs him instantly. He's got this one too, as the struggle of nature between life and death goes on here right in front of our very eyes. The ant lion hides right in the bottom of the volcano-like device that he's built here and waits patiently for the ant. He reaches out with a long claw and grabs the ant as he has done here. He holds the ant till the ant finally succumbs, and then it's nothing but dinner time for the ant lion. Very life is fading away from this ant as the ant lion holds him in his grip, and he'll be dead in a matter of seconds here, and then the ant lion can have his dinner. Wally and Greta have made their trip up to the hot springs and meet us. We're checking out some of the mock orange along the trail side here. Greta's smelling each blossom. Some of them have more scent than others. They'll walk down the trail with us, and then we'll go check out another hot springs. They even have their dog Harley up here, and he'll be trotting along with us as we go down the trail.
Is a stalactite because it has the hollow center, and it's broke off here with the rest of them here, and the water drips through the center and it builds up on the outside. Stalactites here. Yeah, there's another stalactite. Yeah, those are more in the form of shields, but yeah,
that is shield.
yeah.
Greta tried to drop an ant in for an ant lion, but she got a little particle of dirt, so the ant lion will totally ignore it. She tries to pull it out, but she'll never get it just right for the antlion, so he'll stay hid.
I don't think I had an ant.
Oh,
What
nothing's
happened to it?
happened.
Maybe it's still in here.
Oh, maybe it's okay.